Jakarta, 2:47 a.m. Reyhan Santoso just finished overtime at his office in Plut. Tonight, he chose a shortcut across the old Ancol Bridge, a decision he would regret for the rest of his life. Suddenly, Reyhan felt an unnatural chill. The previously warm night air now pierced his bones. From afar, he heard something, a woman's broken, heart-wrenching weeping that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Slowly, his eyes traced the sound and saw her for the first time. Before Reyhan could react, all streetlights suddenly died in the suffocating darkness. The weeping morphed into a horrific choking sound. When lights flickered back, the woman was now facing them, with a face that... Reyhan froze. This wasn't hallucination. The woman, or whatever it was, stood inches away. The stench of blood and rotten seawater filled the air. Slowly, its mouth moved, but the voice came from everywhere. Ghostly voice. You see me. Now you must tell my story. Heart pounding, Reyhan ran, but the more he ran, the longer the bridge became. Each glance back showed the woman getting closer, not walking, not running, just floating like a puppet on invisible strings. After escaping, Reyhan thought it was over, but at home, the real horror began. Every night at a.m. Dripping sounds came from dry faucets. His reflection moved independently, and worst of all, whisper, I'm still here. Reyhan never knew. Some bridges don't just cross rivers, they cross time, and once you see her, she never lets go. 3 days had passed since Reyhan's encounter. Sleep became a distant memory. Every website, every archive whispered the same name, Sri Lestari, a 24-year-old bride who vanished on her wedding day in 1998. But the truth was worse than he imagined. The deeper Reyhan dug, the more the past fought back. Files corrupted, websites crashed, and always that smell of salt water and decay. But one photo survived, a wedding portrait. Shri's smile was bright, her white kebaya flawless, except for the shadowy hand gripping her neck from behind. Shri's voice, they called it a cleansing, a bride drowned by her own family to hide his sins. In the vision, Reyhan watched in horror as Shri, still in her wedding dress, was forced into the water. But as she sank, her eyes locked with his across time. You will join me, she mouthed, and the water turned red. The stranger introduced herself as Diana, a paranormal investigator whose father died studying this curse. Her proof? A 1947 Dutch colonial journal detailing identical drownings every 25 years. Shri was just the latest. She said, you are the next sacrifice. The ritual failed. Shri's spirit erupted, water rising like walls around them. But amidst the chaos, Reyhan saw him, a shadowy figure watching from a black Mercedes, the same man from Shri's wedding photo, now aged 50, smiling. 25 years ago, a corrupt politician made a deal with dark forces. Now, his time is up. And Shri doesn't just want revenge, she wants new life, but whose womb will she use? The Ancol Bridge was never meant to connect the living. Built in 1927 by colonial rulers, its foundations hid a gruesome truth, the bones of laborers who dared rebel. But darkness demands payment. Every 25 years, a bride must drown beneath its arches to silence the spirits. Sri Lestari was not the first, and Reyhan would soon learn he was part of this cycle. Sleep offered no escape. In his dreams, Reyhan saw her, Sri Lestari, her face a twisted mix of sorrow and rage, her spectral hands pressed against his stomach, where something writhed, a life that was not his, a child born of vengeance. And with every passing hour, Reyhan's body grew colder, as if the river itself flowed through his veins. The truth lay buried in Hartono's abandoned estate. Dust-covered photos revealed a shameful past. A politician's bastard child left at an orphanage. Reyhan's hands trembled as he traced his own infant face. But the mansion held darker secrets, a hidden vault of jars containing preserved brides' veils, and a ledger listing names of sacrifices spanning a century. The bridge hungered as Reyhan stood at its center. The ground shuddered. Centuries of drowned brides stirred beneath his feet. Their bony fingers dragged him toward the cracks, their silent screams echoing in his mind. But as the river roared, Shree's face emerged, her tears now black oil. "You are not my enemy," she whispered. "The bridge binds us all." The river dragged him deeper around him. The brides of decades past floated preserved in death, their gowns pristine, their faces frozen in terror. The tunnel ahead pulsed with unnatural light. Shree's voice echoed, "Finish what Hartono began." But as Reyhan swam closer, his skin began to decay, time itself unraveling. Reyhan's hand, half skeletal and dripping black sludge, grips the edge of the colonial-era bridge above him. The modern Ancol Bridge flickers like a mirage. Hundreds of ghostly brides march into the glowing tunnel, while Hartono's corpse floats nearby, his chest cavity hollowed out. The bridge's curse had reshaped Reyhan. His lungs burned for river water, his skin peeled to reveal scales, and the voices, hundreds of them, whispering names of the sacrificed. But one voice cut through the chaos. Shree's, "Find the engineer," she pleaded. "He knows how to break the cycle." Peter Van D. Jake, the bridge's architect, was no savior. His ghost lingered, bound to the curse he'd created. "You think you suffer?" he hissed. "I've drowned here for a century." The ledger in his hands revealed the truth. Every sacrifice strengthened the bridge. Even Shree's death was calculated. Diana knew the price. To close the gate, a living soul must take the bride's place. But as she raised the keris, the water erupted. Hartono's corpse surfaced reanimated, his hollow chest cavity pulsing with dark energy. "No," he gurgled, "the bridge chooses its keeper, and at once." Reality unraveled. The bridge became a cancer, spreading through time. Office workers crumbled to dust, neon signs morphed into Dutch lampposts, and at the vortex's heart, Reyhan saw it, the true bridge, a living spine of fused human bones, its arches beating like a heart. For a moment, Reyhan believed her. Shree's tears felt human, but her touch burned. "Forgive me," she whispered. "My child needs a father." The bride surged, not to save him, but to claim him. Hartono's laughter boomed. "The bridge always wins." The gate is open. The keeper is reborn, and Jakarta is no longer theirs. 3 days had passed since the gate opened. Jakarta was no longer a city. It was a wound in time, and at its core stood him, Reyhan. Flesh merged with the bridge's bone spine, his voice a chorus of drowned brides. The gatekeeper had risen, and his first decree was annihilation. Not all feared the gatekeeper. Descendants of the Dutch engineers, now a cult, reveled in the chaos. Their leader, a woman with Hartono's eyes, preached madness. "The bridge is life. We'll drown the world to be reborn." Their ritual had begun, and Diana, she was the final offering. The Queen of the Southern Sea was no ally. She offered Diana a choice. Stab his heart, and I reclaim my waters. Refuse, and join my court of drowned fools. But the dagger bore a price for every second held. Diana aged a year. Time itself was now her enemy. The gatekeeper hungered. Each soul devoured expanded the bridge's reach. Singapore's skyline flickered in the distance next to fall. But within the horror, a flicker remained. Reyhan's human memories, Shree's child, his own blood. "Father," it cooed, "we are eternal." The dagger struck true. The gatekeeper faltered. For a heartbeat, Reyhan wept, begging for death. But the cult was ready. Chains of human hair bound Diana. The ritual needs fresh blood. Their leader grinned, and as the blade turned on her, the ground split open. The gatekeeper fell, but the bridge endured, for its true architect was never Reyhan, nor the Dutch, but the greed of men, and greed is eternal. The child was no longer Shree's, nor Reyhan's. It was the bridge incarnate. Jakarta's survivors worshipped it as a god, their prayers fueling its power. But in the depths, something stirred. Diana had made a pact not with Nyai, but with the dead. Death had transformed Diana. Nyai's dagger had claimed her life, but the brides gifted her a new one. She was no longer human. She was vengeance, and her first act to storm the cult's stronghold and reclaim the child. The engineer's final gambit was chaos. The spike shattered the child's form, fracturing time itself. Jakarta's splintered colonial soldiers fought modern police. Tsunami waves clashed with traffic jams, and in the maelstrom, Reyhan's voice echoed, "End it, burn the bridge." The brides whispered of redemption. Nyai hissed of power. But Diana saw the truth. The bridge could never be destroyed, only replaced. With a scream, she plunged both daggers into her chest. Light erupted, the child wailed, and the world. The bridge forgot, the city moved on, but the sea never does. Diana lived a lifetime in a day, her scars hidden under long sleeves. Some nights, she hears them Reyhan's laugh, Shree's lullaby, the tick-tick-tick of a ghost train, and she smiles, for the bridge sleeps, but does not die. Legends fade, bloodlines endure, and the tide always returns.